Hello, I'm Ronnie with Whip and Chain. I work with Maggie and Lauren to bring you crochet tutorials. Today we got a beautiful summer top that we're going to work on. Believe it or not, it is just large granny squares. And you can make them for any size, from petite all the way up to large, extra large. And we're going to dive right into this. Okay, so the yarn that I used for this summer top it's Hobby Lobby yarn. I use Yarn Bee Spinnies, and let me tell you, this yarn is amazing. I love it. It's soft, and it is 75% viscose. I might be messing that up, so I apologize. And then it's 25% polyester. This type of yarn is not supposed to pull and get those fuzzies as easily as the other yarn. So that's why I used it. And it's also a weight of a 3, which I wanted. It's a summer top. You don't want something that's going to make you very hot. But I used heather and I used ivory. That was my 2 choices. Hobby Lobby has an assortment of colors, and you don't have to use this type of yarn. All I'm going to say is when you make the squares, adjust for the thickness of yarn that you use. Even if you use a little thinner, I would adjust your crochet hook. I used this yarn recommends a 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. I used a 5 because I didn't want it tight. All right, so let me show you how to do the squares. Now the squares, you're gonna need 4 of them. Now the one that I made, I did 12 sets. It's a 2-row repeat. I did 12. But let me show you how to get started on them. It's just a repeat. It's really easy. And just take your time. Now I started with a magic ring. Make sure you leave yourself a tail that you can weave in. If you don't want to do the magic circle, magic ring, I would suggest a chain 4, slip stitch to the first stitch, and then chain 3. You do the magic circle, you are automatically chain 1, so just chain 2 more, 1 and 2. And that does count as a double crochet. So now, this will be the only time in this pattern where we start out with 3 double crochets. Just saying. So you know for all the other rows. So in here you want 2 more double crochets. So you have 3 double crochets. Chain 2. And then 3 double crochets. That might be a little too close. Huh? There we go. Find a happy medium for you. 1, 2, and 3. All right, chain 2, and put in 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, and chain 2, and then 1 more set. That's 1, 2, and 3. And chain 2, and then I'm going to tighten up my center, slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. Okay, chain 2, put in, that does not count as anything, put in 2 double crochets right in that chain 2 area. Okay, now chain 1. Now this is 3 double crochets, remember. We're gonna skip the first one right here, that's the chain 3. We're gonna go into the next one and put in a double crochet. Chain 1 and then skip 1, and it takes you to the corner. The corners will always be, for every row from now on, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. Okay, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, go to the next one, put in a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and then you're back to the corner, which is 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. And you just keep repeating that around. Chain 1, skip your first stitch, go to the next one, put in a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and back to the corner, which is 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. Now, as you keep growing, these skipping, they'll get longer and longer, obviously. But this is row 1. The center one did not count. So you chain 1, skip 1, next one, put a double crochet in, chain 1, and you're back to the corner. But remember, we already did the first 2 in this corner, so you just do 2 more double crochets, chain 2, 1 and 2, and then you slip stitch to the top of the double crochet, not the chain 2. Okay. Okay, the next row, the second row of a 2 round repeat, chain 2, put in 2 double crochets back in that corner. Now we're going to just put a double crochet in every stitch, including the skipped, the chain 1. So 1 double crochet in every stitch. When you get to the chain 1, that's my heater, I apologize. The chain 1, just slip right in there and do a double crochet. Then on top of the double crochets, you put a double crochet, and you put a double crochet in a chain 1, a double crochet back on top of the chain, a double crochet, and then 1 double crochet in your stitches. And then when you reach the corner is 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. And that's all this is. Double crochet in every, it's important for this pattern that you don't skip stitches. So if I were you and you were me, every once in a while, count your stitches. Make sure they're the same on every side, because you definitely want a square. in the corners every single time, except the very first beginning is always 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. Again, I do recommend strongly that every once in a while you count. I always seem to count mine on the rows where I put a double crochet in every stitch. And then when you get to your corner, put in 2 double crochets, chain 2, and you slip stitch to the top of your double crochet. And then it's just repeat. Then you do the first row that we did. So it's a chain 2. You put in 2 double crochets, you chain 1, you skip 1, you put in a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, put in double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet. You do this till you get to the corner, and if your counts are correct, you will always skip 1 before you get to the corner. And the corner again is 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. So you're just repeating these 2 rows over and over. And then as you do that, they're gonna just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, so this is a row, this is a 2 row, this is a 2 row, and so forth all the way up. Now what I did is I counted my solid rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You always end on the solid row. You never end on the chain 1, skip 1. Okay, so I did 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, and then as you can see, I closed in my center. I did weave it in, but I didn't cut this. You know why? Because that tells me what the wrong side is until I'm finished this project. Huge help. Huge, huge, huge help. So, let me show you something really nice. Look at this seam that I did. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's butted up right next to each other very nicely. You can't see the join. Not at all. Can't see it, can't see it, can't see it. Isn't that wonderful? Love it. So, what you do is you lay your blocks. I have a block on my right, a block on my left. Then you take your other two blocks and then you lay them up top. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how to seam these. But what I want to, when you're joining these, so you have two, they're stacked, 1, 2, 3, 4. Any color way you want to do it. You don't have to do it my way by any means. You can stack these any way you want. I did seam this one and this one together. I'm going to show you how to seam, how I did it, so you don't see your seam. Look at that. I'm just in love with this seam. Anyway, so the first thing that you do is make sure the right side is facing you. Right side, not the wrong side. And then you take your squares and you count down 18 from the first stitch. So I'm going to count down 18 from my very first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And I'm going to put my stitch marker in the 18th stitch, and I'm going to count again. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18. Okay. And I'm going to do it on the next one. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I'm going to mark the 18th stitch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay. These ones that are in the center, we're not going to stitch together because we have to hook our straps too. All right. So you don't need your crochet hook anymore. What you need is your yarn. Now, because this is an invisible stitch, a join, you're not going to see the yarn. You will not. Absolutely promise. You could do this in a bright red. If you do it the way I'm going to show you, you will not see your yarn. But first things first, make sure the right side is facing you. All right. I have opted to use my ivory color. Now, before we get started, I don't think I touched on this too much. Your squares. This shirt can be adjusted for smaller or obviously bigger. You just do more rounds of your square until you're comfortable with the length, how far it comes down. Like if you like it to stop a little before your waist or a little below your waist, you just keep doing your rounds, but make sure you do both rounds. You do the skip one round and a solid round until you get to the width and the length that you want. Okay. Now, to do this beautiful invisible join. Your corners. Now let me first let you know, it doesn't matter what side you start on. Don't matter, don't matter, don't matter, don't matter. Okay. Now, with the square that is closest to you, you want to work with the stitches that are farthest away from you. With the square that's farthest away from you, you want to work with the loops that are closest to you. So we're not working in the whole stitch. We're working in just one side of the loops. So the square that is on top, or the one that is closest to you, you work away. You work from the back loop, the loop that's all farther away from you. And I'm going to start in the corner. Now don't work in your first stitch, work in the corner. There's 2 stitches. I'm going to take my needle, I'm going to go from the top down into the first back loop, and I'm going to go through it. Okay. Now the second stitch, because that corner is 2 stitches, we're going to go from underneath and up. Okay. Now I just want you to repeat that, because it's not going to knot it, but it's going to lock it in, so your chances of this coming out are less likely. So go back from the top down. And then in the next stitch, come on up. Now, in the other square, remember I said you're going to be working in the stitches that are closest to you, but we're going to go from top down. So in the corner, there's 2 stitches in the corner, top down, and then we're going to go around and come back up through the next stitch. You can come down and pull it through and come up. You can do it that way too. But on the other square, you only do it once. All right. Now you got, that was the hard part of this. Now it's started. So now you want to go in to the stitch that you just came out of, not the next one. So this is the stitch I just came out of. So I'm going to come down. I'm going to take the hook and go around and come up through the next stitch, the stitch that hasn't been touched yet. I'm going to pull that. Don't pull it tight. You don't need to right now. Then we're going to go up to the other square. Remember, you're using the loops that are closest to you. I'm going to go top down into the square that we used before. I'm going to rotate my hook, my needle up, and go into the next square, next stitch. Remember, just the loop that's closest to you. And we're going to repeat that stitch that we used prior. See where it's coming out? We're going to go down. Then we're going to come up through the next stitch. And we're going to do that up top again. I'm going in where I came out last, then going up through the next stitch. Okay, that's all you do. So you just keep going from bottom square, top square, bottom square, top square. And again, make sure, I don't know why that got all knotted up. Make sure the right side of your squares are facing out. This seems like it takes a while, but if you work so hard on making all your squares and doing this, this is definitely not the time you want to rush. So you guys ready to see a trick? Now you can do this when you're ready to do it. There's no really length that you have to wait for to do it. But watch. See this little section? See where I've been doing the stitching? You take this and you pull it, and it's like magic. Look at that. Beautiful. So you're gonna do this all the way up, but don't go in where your stitch marker is. Go all the way up to the stitch right before the stitch marker, and then tie off, weave in your yarn ends, but make sure that's tight so it don't come out. So you're going to do that, but on each one you skip the 18 stitches. So you're going to do that. You're going to seal this together, and then you will have your points for your top part to do. And after you do that, we're going to come back and I'm going to show you how to do that. But seam it up and weave in all your ends, because then you will know what's the good side and what's the bad side on this. Okay, now I did one of the straps. We're going to do the strap together. You can choose to use the same colors, or you can do what I'm doing. I'm doing one strap the ivory color and one strap the purple color. So I am going to do purple, but you can choose any colors that you want. So I'm using the same hook size that we've done the whole project on. Going into the front of the project, going into the chain 2 area. Doing a slip knot. Slip on. Chain 3, and then you put in 5 more double crochets. I'm going to hold my tail to go over my tail. 1, 2, chain 3, and you just turn, and don't put a double crochet in that first one because that chain 3 counted. So we're going to put a double crochet in the remaining 5, so we will always have a count of 6. And then make sure you put one in that chain. And this is all we're going to do. You turn, chain 3, and then put one in each of the remaining 5, not in the first stitch. You do this until you get the length that you want. I did 15 of these rows, and I'm going to finish my rows, and I'll stop at the 14th because we got to attach the 15th. Okay, when you get the length that you want, always recount. It's really important. 13, 14. Okay, so because I want 15, I'm going to stop there. Look back on my hook, find the back side of it, wrap my hook, go back up into that chain 2, and I'm going to put my last 6 double crochets going through both like this. Wrap, go through the first one, and then you go through that chain 2 area. That's 2, and it's just a chain 2 area on the back side. It's 3, wrap, 4, 5, and don't forget that chain area, and 6. Chain 1, cut a long enough tail to weave it in. And there are your 2, get that out of your way, straps. And that's how you make this shirt. It's a beautiful summer shirt. Wear like a nice little cami underneath it, perfect. And like I said, if you need a bigger size, you just extend the rows on each square. All right. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ronnie with Whip and Chain. I work with Maggie and Lauren to bring you these beautiful crochet tutorials. Can't wait to see you next time. Happy crocheting, everybody.